Well, hello, my friends. JW here, and welcome to a brand new episode of Dunswell Zoo. My apologies that it's been a while. I've been very busy in real life and in Planet Zoo. Um, I've nearly finished my course though, so I should have a little bit more time to work on Planet Zoo. I just thought we'd start off with the guanaco because we haven't seen them for a while. I might redo their habitat at some point. That one's having a poo. Let's check that one out. Imagine that. You sat eating your dinner and there's a guanaco having a poo. And there's another guanaco having a poo. And they're all having poos. Silly aside, there's a reason why we're starting in South America. So this episode, according to the original plans that I had, should have been the giant river otter, or the giant otter, or the Amazonian river otter, or whatever the hell you want to call it. It's a big otter. That one's having a poo right in front of us. Upon beginning the river otter habitat and looking at what else I had planned for the Pantanal Paradise, which is where the river otters are, I realised that I hadn't quite stuck to my plans of keeping things in sort of regional habitat zones. And there were a few animals in the Pantanal area that shouldn't have been in the Pantanal area. And likewise, there were some in the Peruvian prairie. Well, you could find them in the Peruvian prairie, but it would be pretty rare. So I would rather have sort of an authentic experience when, you enter the zoo and you look at these animals. So we've moved things around. And that's part of the reason why I haven't been making videos, is because it's taken a lot of time and planning to figure out how to do it in a way that doesn't mean starting from scratch. And I've finally found a way to do it. And I've put those plans in place, and I've already started construction on the new zones. There are two new zones to accommodate the changes. They are the Expedition Ecuador and Adventure Andes. Those are the two new zones. So there'll be a little infographic popping up on the screen now, which is a very, very rough version of the map for Dunswell Zoo at the moment, the South America section. And you'll see right near the entrance we've got the Chicoan peccary. You can't really read it very well on there, but it's the 9-banded armadillo. Subject to change, of course, depends what else we get in the future. Then we have the guanaco, which we're in their habitat now, the greater rhea, then the giant anteater, then the South American coati and the giant anteater. Then next to them we have the maned wolf. Opposite them we have the bush dogs and the mountain tapirs in two separate habitats, of course. Then there's big red block at the top for Asian development land. Then we had the Andean bear complex, the capybara springs, which was of course the capybara, the Azara zaguchi and the white-faced saki monkeys. And then the Pantanal pool with the Andean flamingo, the Chilean flamingo, the James's flamingo, the roseate spoonbill, and the Scala ibis. And then next to them we had the Venezuelan red howler monkey, and next to them we had the marsh deer. And then you've got the rest of the Pantanal paradise and reptiles at risk. And then above that you had the Atlantic forest. And here's what's changed. So you'll see some very different placements and some brand new animals. So 9-banded armadillo is now definitely going near the entrance opposite the Chicoan peccaries. The greater rhea are staying. Their habitat's getting a slight expansion and a slight improvement to accommodate the expansion. Have I said that the right way around? A slight expansion, a slight improvement, and an expansion to accommodate that improvement. Then giant anteater remains the same. South American coati remains the same with another giant anteater. Opposite them, where there used to be the maned wolves, there is now Expedition Ecuador, which will have the great curassow, which is a bird, the bird's tapir, which is a tapir, Hoffman's two-toed sloth, that's going to be a walk-through nocturnal habitat, and the Colombian white-faced capuchin. Not part of Expedition Ecuador, but part of the Peruvian prairie, is the brown-throated three-toed sloth. And then opposite them you have the Patagonian mara, where the bush dogs used to be, and the bush dogs where the mountain tapirs used to be. Then of course you have the first habitat in the Pantanal Paradise, which is Capybara Springs. Capybara remains, Azara's agouti remains, but we've swapped out the white-faced saki monkeys for the white-eared titi monkeys. Over in the Pantanal Pool, we have the Andean flamingo, the Chilean flamingo, the James's flamingo, and the roseate spoonbill. The scarlet ibises have now left the collection. It's also worth pointing out that the white-faced saki monkeys have also left the collection. And there's now a little habitat at the back of the Pantanal Pool for the southern screamers. Then where there used to be Venezuelan red howler monkeys, there are now black howler monkeys. And opposite them, of course, the marsh deer. And then Pantanal Paradise, reptiles at risk remains the same. Atlantic Forest and penguins of Patagonia coming soon. And then, of course, the big change is that Adventure Andes, which is the Andean bear, the mountain tapir, and the southern poodoo. There is potentially a fourth animal. There isn't a mod for it yet. There aren't any rumours for it coming as an official release, but I really hope we get either an official release or a mod for it. And if I remember correctly, it's the yellow-tailed woolly monkey. It's an Andean monkey, and it would fit perfectly in Adventure Andes. And it's also it's either endangered or critically endangered. I can't remember which one it is. I think it's critically endangered. I think. But don't quote me on that. It's definitely either endangered or critically endangered. So we've lost a little bit of land from the Asian development, but that's okay. I am fine with that because it was needed. The zoo now feels more cohesive, especially the South America section. Everything feels like it's in its right place and that it belongs, and that it's this... what's the word I'm looking for? Holistic experience. You know, it's very self-oriented. You know, you choose whether you want to go to Adventure Andes or Expedition Ecuador. If you don't want to, you don't have to. So it's completely up to what you're feeling on the day. But I'll just show you some of the changes we have going on. I definitely might redo the guanaco habitat. Now that I'm looking at it, it's looking very plain and boring, but that's further down the line. I've got more important things to do between now and then. An upcoming episode will be the 9-banded armadillo. You can only have 2 of them. This is quite a big habitat for just 2 of them. But I don't think they're going to get lost. I think if we keep the scaling correct, it will look like a very nice habitat for the 9-banded armadillo. Chacon peccaries are, of course, doing fine, as always. Breeding like Chacon peccaries. There's just hogs and hoglets everywhere you look. What else? Where are we going? Ah, yes, the Greater Rear. So this bit's staying, of course, and I'm keeping the rock boundary in so we can keep this fence nice and low. But then I'm going to swap out some of the panels for some mesh so that you get a bit more viewing opportunities on this main path. And because we now have the Patagonian Mara, which will be moving into this habitat that used to house bush dogs. We can do some nice things with this habitat. This is now still the same zone, whereas before, obviously, the bush dogs were part of the Peruvian prairie, whereas the Greater Rio are part of the Pampas pastures. The Patagonian Mara are also part of the Pampas pastures. So we now have, if I just zoom out, try not to spoil anything. Pampas pastures is now Chacao and Peccary, down to the nine-banded armadillo, across to the Greater Rio, over to the Patagonian Mara, and that's that. And then the Peruvian prairie, we have the bush dogs, round to the brown-throated three-toed sloth, and then the anteaters, and the coati. That's now how things sort of play out. So we're going to add some more viewing opportunities at this side. Just sort of, it's a rough layout, this sort of expansion. But I'm thinking we do something different here, and we maybe put a water barrier in, because if we just go onto here, they don't need any water, and I don't think they can swim. Wait, I forgot, I'm about to be proved wrong here. What does it say? 6.6 foot grade 3 fence. It doesn't say water, so maybe they can cross water. I don't know. I was just thinking of something different, you know, rather than just fences everywhere. What if we did something different? So some more viewing opportunities, definitely. We've still got some young rhea in here. Of course, now that I've moved everything around, I will need to redo all of these signs. Mountain tapirs, maned wolves, they'll need to be changed. Everything else is fine. Everything else is fine. New zone signs. So the Peruvian prairie and Expedition Ecuador and Adventure Andes. I will show you the new bush dog habitat actually. Here's the new bush dog habitat. Same footprint as the mountain tapir. But they've got a nice big lake. It's quite shallow as well, even though they still swim. I could, if I wanted to, reduce the size of this lake, and I may well do, now that I can see the bush dogs in here. It does look a bit big, so I think I will reduce the size of this lake, and I'll put some reeds and things in it. But yeah, they're really good swimmers, bush dogs. They have slightly webbed feet, so I mean, look at it, it's having the time of its life. But they're doing really well over here. But I wanted to keep their habitat sort of relatively open for good viewing opportunities, which is what I've sort of done. Nothing's really changed in here. We've still got Azara's agouti, still got capybara. In fact, you can see the two species living side by side here. I do need to build a new sort of enclosure pen thing for the white-eared titis and connect this up to Titi Island, formerly Saki Island. But the titis are Bolivian grey titis, but they're also called white-eared titis. So water can be used as a deterrent for them. between 8 and 40. So absolutely, we could have lots of TTs. They're often marked as NSFW due to a seductive name, the TT monkey. So they kind of cross mix with the Baird's tapir and the Colombian white-faced capuchin, but I don't know, I just don't like the idea of the white-faced capuchin mixing with people. It says, can guest enter habitat? Yes. I wouldn't feel comfortable, I don't think. They're quite an active species of capuchin. Active species of monkey as well. And I would maybe be a bit apprehensive that I got bit. I've been in with lemurs and felt absolutely fine. I've had a lemur sat on my shoulder. It was a very brief experience because the lemur shouldn't have been sat on my shoulder. It came down from the trees, they'd just been fed, they was very excited, and this lemur just leaped up off the ground and sat on my shoulder, and then the keeper sort of came along and sort of urged the lemur away from me, which I was very disappointed about because I thought I'd made a friend. But I understand they're wild animals, so... But yeah, I really didn't like the idea of capuchins mixing with... Oh, the map's not here. Might want to sort that one out, Leaf. So yeah, I went for the Bolivian grey TTs instead. It's a nice swap, I think, for the white-faced Sakis. Still an active and yet small species of monkey. Can have up to 13 males and 39 females. So that's why I went for that, really. I can show you the southern screamer habitat. So we now just have flamingos and spoonbills in here. The flamingos are sort of reaching what I have imposed as their peak group numbers, which is 16 per species. So 16 Andean, 16 Jameses, and 16 Chilean. You can see we've got some young just sort of plodding about. And the spoonbills, I'm not allowing them to breed because they're their least concern. Then the southern screamers, you can see I went ahead with my plan and fenced this area off. And they've got their own indoor section as well, which isn't actually completely split off, and I do need to put another door in there. I forgot about that. Let's just... oh, what notifications do we have? Offspring, offspring, offspring. Oh, we've got some matured marsh deer, so we'll get to them in just a second. Just let me pop a door. On here. There we go. Where was it? Yeah, it's not completely separated. You can see it's open fronted here, and there is a slight gap with the window to allow light and airflow and stuff. But the southern screamers have a little segregated indoor area, and then their habitat. I did want this to be a lot shallower. It won't work. The only way I would get it shallower is if I did a false bottom, like concrete or something. But I wanted the natural texture, so it's fine. That'll do fine. Southern screamers are also least concern, so they're not breeding, but guests can get quite close to them. Viewing opportunity is not entirely the best. I might swap this mesh out for glass. I'm not 100% sure yet. We shall see how things go. I'm fine with the view here, because you you can see the southern screamers and you'd be able to take pictures and stuff. It's in this darker area in the middle. I don't know, I just don't like the mesh with the darker area. But we'll see. Anyway, that's something to consider. This is where a path is going to go, which will lead into Adventure Andes. As you can see, I am working on Adventure Andes as we speak. Mountain tapirs will be the next ones to move in. The Andean bears have already moved in. And Southern Poodoo, I will be doing a speed build or a showcase, one of the two, for you, because we haven't had the Southern Poodoo before. Same Expedition Ecuador, we've not had any of those species before, so that'll all be on the channel as well. Over here, simply a case of swapping out the red howler monkeys for the black howler monkeys. And the black howler monkeys are, according to this, near threatened. So we are doing a good job. They haven't bred yet, I don't think. Got all females here. Oops. Don't know why they're so hungry. Why are they so hungry? And space. Oh, God. Right. I hate this. It really annoys me. So we just shift that and it'll reset the calculations. And then suddenly they'll be fine. Yep, see what I mean? Planet Zoo. But no, they haven't bred yet. So we've got two females, which are, of course, the golden colour. And there should be a male in here. I'd be a bit perturbed if there wasn't, because I did buy one. Oh, there's another female in here. Ah, you are salvation. You are not our salvation. And you are also very hungry. And another female. And another female. Why are they so hungry, man? Where's the male gone as well? Excuse me whilst we experience some technical difficulties. I did get... Yeah, I got two males. Apparently he's here. I didn't see him. What the hell? I think that might be a bug. I will have to get onto Leaf about that. The males have disappeared. That's worrying. So they're there, but they're not actually there. But yeah, it was just simply a case of swapping the Venezuelan reds out for the black howler monkeys. Take a trip over to our marsh deer, because we got some maturing. Amadeo, we will send you to the trade centre. And Gadites. Nearly an adult. Should be an adult any second. And... oh, you're one of the originals. You're one of the originals. You're one of the originals. And we should have our male. Miguel, yes. And he's had 8 children. He's got 3 partners. Yeah, the rest of them have all, unfortunately, passed away. So yeah, essentially at the moment, we've just got the remains of the giant otter habitat. It will still be going there. It's just going to be a bit later on. I need to finish Adventure Andes and Expedition Ecuador. We have got the Andean bears, of course. You know what? I'll show you the Andean bears. I'm feeling in a good mood. So the Andean bears then, very similar setup to last time. But now you're coming through the side. It's ivy on the walls. You have Expedition Ecuador on your right, Adventure Andes on your left. And you've got some lovely viewing opportunities here. To see the Andean bears. So there's 3 in here. There's mum, dad and infant. There's infant, I think. Oops, don't want to climb the fence. Let's see if that's the furthest we can zoom in, but you can still see the baby as it walks through a log. There's one and there's one as well. So because our Andean bears, Andes and Nakara, they're both elderly, I'm going to retire them from the breeding program. And Inca, when she grows up, thank you to whoever suggested the name Inca, by the way. You are the only person that suggested the name, hence why she's called Inca. When Inca grows up, she will move into the habitat next door, and she'll be paired with a breeding male, and they'll be part of the breeding program. And this will remain a little retirement pad for Andes and Nakara. They shouldn't swim, really. That water barrier is meant to be a deterrent, but oh well. Oops. And then we of course come down here and you get your front view, and you can see you can get some really good views of the Andean bears. Education, donation points there and there. Do need to change this because this doesn't need to be there anymore. They don't live in the Pantanal Paradise area of the zoo. It is uncommon for bears to venture down from the Andes mountain range and into the Pantanal Basin, that much is true. Due to climate change, habitat destruction and conflict with humans, Andean bears are being found more regularly outside of their typical mountainous homes. That's true, still exceptionally rare to find it in the Pantanal region though. And they do come into contact with the Pantanal jaguar. But we don't need that anymore, so that needs to be changed. The house is still the same structure. I liked the house, so if it ain't broke, don't fix it. So we'll go through the doors, and it's exactly the same on the inside. Do need to put a piece of stone wall in there though to hide that. Oh look, they're both inside. Yee, tickle the belly, tickle the belly. And then the other habitat, kapow. It's a very similar design, but this one's a bit more showy. You've got the waterfall at the back. They can walk along this log. They can walk along that log. They've got a rubbing post up front, enrichment wall up front. There's some scent markers over here. There's some other enrichment at the back. so you could see them on these platforms. So yeah, I'm pretty happy with how that's turned out. And then I've started working on the mountain tapir habitat, but we'll save that for a future date. What else is there to talk about then? Videos will of course be coming back. I apologise once again for being away for a while, just been busy in real life and handling the nuances of planning a zoo. I've mapped out roughly where things are going to go in here. It's just going to be a case of getting around to it. Where was I going with that one? Yeah, so Patagonian Mara will be a habitat build. I mean, the habitat's already built, pretty much. It's just going to be planting. So I don't think I'm going to do a speed build of that, because I don't think people want to see me just place down plants. Three-toed sloth will be a habitat build. Probably a speed build. Expedition Ecuador, possibly various speed builds. Mountain tapir, not speed build, I'll just show you that one. Southern poodoo, speed build probably. And then everything else from that point onwards will probably be a speed build. So we'll finish. We'll do the Patagonian Mara, the brown-throated three-toed sloth, Expedition Ecuador, and then we'll do the Southern Poodoo. We'll finish the new expansions to the South America zone. Then we'll move back to Australia and New Zealand. And we will do... Well, it's Australasia, actually. I can save myself from saying Australia and New Zealand. Australasia. And we're going to knock through at the back, if I can find it. We're going to knock through the coming soon. And we're going to start work on the nocturnal house for Australasia. We've already got one habitat up and running. It's the greater bilby. We did have the greater bilby habitat already in the previous iteration of Dunswell Zoo. That's why I haven't shown the habitat build for this. But everything else what's going to be in here we haven't had before. So eastern quoll, kiwi, the betong, staff. It's not an animal. The takahare, then the food court, the wallaby walkabout, and then the Australian sea lion complex, which will be a very big build. And that's Australasia done. And we will move over to South America after that, of course. And we will continue the Pantanal. So giant river otter, ocelot, pampas deer, and then the jaguar complex. And we've got the reptiles at risk. Which habitat's that? Male Queensland koala, that's fine. Just pause it because we're getting notifications coming through left, right and centre. And then we've got up to the sand for the Atlantic forest and penguins of Patagonia. Atlantic forest, maned wolves are going to be making their reappearance there. They're currently in an offshore paddock. However, the pups haven't matured yet. The female unfortunately died of old age, so it's just the male and the pups. So keepers are sort of stepping in to help where necessary. The pups will be sent to other collections as part of the breeding program, and the male will live out the rest of his life either in the offshore paddock or with the female anteater in her paddock. Nothing else to report on that really, other than that the male wolves will be coming back, don't worry about it. Penguins of Patagonia is going to be an interesting build. Atlantic Forest is going to be really nice, hopefully, if I can make my vision a reality. And then once South America's done, we shall start our next 2 geographical zones, which are Asia and Africa. With Africa, we are starting with South Africa, which is going to be this entrance area sort of here. And with Asia, we're starting with the Himalayas. So we're starting at the bottom of Africa and the top of Asia. And Asia's going to spread outwards, and Africa's going to spread upwards. And we've got some really nice species, some really big habitats coming. But yeah, that's it for Dunswell Zoo. That's not it for the episode. There are a couple of little things to mention just here and there. Please subscribe if you haven't done so already. Really helps me out and helps the channel grow. Like the video if you have, of course, liked the video. It helps the video get seen by more people and helps me become, hopefully, a successful Planet Zoo YouTuber. You can find me on Instagram at jw_yt. That's it for the Dunswell Zoo stuff. Moving on. Yorkshire Wildlife Park. It is still my aim to recreate Yorkshire Wildlife Park in Planet Zoo. I have photos, videos, maps, aerial footage. I'm well equipped to do it. And of course we've got the mods and all the content that's within the Planet Zoo game. So that's not a problem. I can do it as accurately as my abilities allow me to do so. I was going to start it when I felt like it. That was the last update I gave you on that. Because initially I'd set a start date, and then I was like, well, I'm enjoying Dunswell Zoo too much, so I'll just do it when I feel like it. That's still true, but there are some major developments going on at Yorkshire Wildlife Park at the moment. The Patagonian Mara and the capybara have moved across the park. They're now behind the maned wolves. I don't know what their enclosure looks like now. And where the maned wolf, where the Patagonian Mara, the capybara, and the white-faced saki monkeys were in Yorkshire Wildlife Park, I don't know what's happened to the white-faced saki monkeys, whether they're offshore or whether they've left the collection. But their walk-through habitat is being completely redeveloped, and there's a new area coming called Amazona, and this hasn't been announced. We've got no news about it. They just closed the habitat one day and put these banners up. There's a new area called Amazona, and there are some silhouettes on the banner, and they're sort of just generic. You can't really tell neither here or there what they are, but there are some pictures, and there's definitely 2 species of tamarin on those pictures. One of them is a golden lion tamarin, so, and there's some new structures going up in there, so I don't know what's happening with that. And then of course they may or may not be revamping other areas a bit later on in the year as well. So I'm going to hold off until I see things in person. I am going to Yorkshire Wildlife Park later in the year, hopefully either just before or just after the school summer holidays. I don't want to go during the school summer holidays because it'd be full of kids and ugh. So I'll be going either just before or just after. It depends on the availability when I can go. So I'll get some pictures and videos of the new sections, and we'll go from there. We'll start the construction from that point onwards, rather than the photos and videos what I've already got, because some of that is now outdated and irrelevant. Things have been updated since then. So I would say between May and October, which is a very wide window, I know, but that's roughly when I'd be going. I'd prefer to go sort of the back end of summer, when the kids are back at school and the park's in full bloom, so to speak. But we'll just see what's available in terms of travel and transport and my availability for when I can go. So that's what's happening with Yorkshire Wildlife Park. It is not abandoned. I have not changed my mind. I am just going with the flow. They're making changes and updates and improvements, so might as well wait until they enter a lull phase, and then go from there. And the last thing I want to mention is, since my last video went out, which I hope you all enjoyed that, by the way, we have lost a member of the Planet Zoo community. They're not dead, I hope not anyway. I assume they're not dead. Dan XG, who of course was one of the big inspirations for me starting my own Planet Zoo series, Dan XG has left YouTube. He was umming and ahhing about it for a while, and I've been in that position before with my other YouTube channel, and I decided to leave that as well. He's decided to leave content creation. He just had a really rough time. He put everything that he could into it, and unfortunately things just didn't work out how he wanted them to work out, which is absolutely fine. That's definitely a valid reason to leave. He didn't find it fun anymore, and he was also getting a lot of flack from people with absolutely no reason at all, just for playing Hogwarts Legacy. You're not a member of the Planet Zoo community anymore. How dare you play this game? You're a transphobe. All that shite, quite frankly. I've played Hogwarts Legacy. I really enjoyed the game. I didn't put it on the channel because this is just about animals, this channel, but I enjoyed playing the game. And I have friends who are trans, and they're fine with me playing the game. So I don't get why people were so against other people playing the game. None of your business. There we go. But we have lost Dan, unfortunately. He has left the YouTube sphere. So let's raise a glass or a bottle or a cup or whatever. Something in honour of Dan XG. Thank you for inspiring this series. Thank you for inspiring me. Thank you for everything that you did for the Planet Zoo community during your time within it. I'm sorry you had such a bad experience, and I wish you all the best in your future endeavours, whatever they may be. It's a shame because most of the people that inspired me to do this have now left the community. Paulsley, of course, gone. Dan XG, gone. Leaf's still around. Leaf's great. But yeah, that's it. I've talked for too long. I've waffled for too long. So that's what's happening with Yorkshire Wildlife Park. Dan XG unfortunately left the content creation sphere for Planet Zoo. Remember to like and subscribe if you have indeed liked the video and want to see more from me. I hope you've all been well, and I hope you all stay well, and I shall see you all in the next video, whenever that may be. Can't imagine it'd be too long from now. Of course, the guanaco runs off when I go near it. Thank you very much for watching, my friends. Remember to stay kind and stay safe, and I shall see you all in that next video. Goodbye for now.